Hello, everybody, and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role-playing games. It's Monday night, so we are playing Masks of Nyarlathotep. We will discuss what's happened thus far in a moment. But first, other things that we do on the channel. Wednesday nights, we do Simba Room. It's back. Yay! And every other Thursday is the Yellow King. So the next one of those is a week on Thursday, the 24th. Everything that we have done is on our YouTube, which either you are watching on anyway, or there is a link to below the stream if you are watching on Twitch, as well as links to our social media, our Discord, which you should join and come and chat with us and the other lovely people who enjoy watching the channel, and also our Patreon. So if you enjoy what we do, you can support us on there. That's all of that stuff, I think. So the group are in Peru. They have all, for their own reasons, answered an ad to come and help a man by the name of Augustus Larkin on an expedition to a lost pyramid for riches or knowledge or whatever else it may be. And some strange things have happened while they're there. There may be vampiric creatures that kill people by sucking the fat out of them and or turn them into those vampiric creatures by spitting some kind of lava thing into their mouth. It's all very strange, but you know, some of the group are kind of still non-believers, which those conversations are always fun to listen to. I haven't told anybody what order they are coming on in. So first, let's bring on, let's do people who were here last week. Let's bring Inga on, who plays Corporal Martin Shane. Hey, Inga. Give us a recap on the Corporal and how he's feeling at the moment.
So he's a former field medic and one of the more sort of like probably kind of pragmatic and slightly skeptical in the kind of like metaphysical truth of this stuff, but quite interested in the sort of metaphoric or figurative kind of understanding of these stories and the mythology and things. Mostly here for a job more than anything else. So kind of doing his duty and still very much in that kind of mindset. Horrible liar, not very convincing really that we need to stay around for medical reasons rather than some investigation, but you know, what can you do other than try, I guess. But yeah, so I think Martin is still reasonably like unbothered in the scheme of things, mostly still just sort of taking things as they come with whatever comes down the line next. So yeah, similar to last week, I think.
Cool. Let's bring on Steve, who plays Edwin Price. Hey, Steve. Same question. Little recap on Edwin and his current frame of mind, please.
Edwin is getting increasingly nervous about the various people that are keeping an eye on us and following us, and yeah, it's not great. I think more worried than about them and the potential of because the growing number of Karasiri, it seems, in this region are increasing. The Karasiri population is perhaps they're going on a bit of a membership spree. So yes, I think Edwin is basically looking around and wondering who on earth we can trust. That's probably their state of mind at the moment. Interesting story that we were told by Naira, yes.
Naira, yes.
About the evil ancient god that fell into Lake Titicaca and then was trapped under in an armadillo burrow. I think there was an interesting revelation there about potentially it wasn't the Karasiri that might be our main problem. It might be that they didn't break the cage by removing the bit of gold from the temple. It might just have weakened it, and perhaps the cage is still there, and the Carasiri are wanting to go back and break it fully, and maybe let an ancient entity out, which would probably be bad.
Probably, but you can't be sure. So
We can't be
maybe
sure,
assess upon arrival.
Hmm.
Great, thanks, Steve. Let's bring on John, who plays Merritt Barton. Hey, John.
Hi, Jonny.
Same question, please. Little recap on Merritt and how he's currently feeling about things.
Merritt is a linguistics researcher. He's currently here in a capacity as a translator. He mostly came to Peru because he picked up an interest in Quechua, which is one of the non-Spanish languages that was spoken in Peru before the conquistadors. But he's landed. They have arrived in a city where Quechua is actually quite frequently spoken, and all of the locals seem to sort of hate us for probably slightly obvious reasons. But, like, you know, Merritt spent several years in Paris, and the French were far more friendly than this, so he's a little bit on the back foot.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Now let's bring on Justin, who plays Mr. Farwell. Hey, Justin.
Hello.
You were not here last week, but Mr. Farwell was.
He was.
Give us a recap on Mr. Farwell, please.
Just generally.
Yeah, just generally.
Well, I mean, really, you know, devoted husband, I think is like where we're at. / mechanic, you know?
Yeah.
He's much like me, he's an ordinary working man who thanks, Inga. Appreciate that one. Who likes to, for example, row boats and shoot monsters.
Great, thank you. And of course,
I was just pretty
Mrs.
sure I
Farwell.
knew where that was going, by the way, for the record, when you were starting teeing up that comparison, it's because I knew you were heading towards the boat.
Mrs. Farwell, played by Sam. Unfortunately, Sam can't come with us this evening on this particular adventure. But finally, let's bring on Jack, who plays Theodore Ted Hobbs. Hey, Jack.
His name is, well, I guess his name isn't Ted, but it was Ted.
That's what it says on your nameplate.
That's true.
Ted. Yeah.
And,
Little recap on Ted, please, now that Ted is no longer either ill or feigning illness.
well, much like myself, I guess. Yeah, he is a...
Which was it last week? Which?
What was the date last week? No, I was for real ill. Yeah, so he's a photojournalist who has joined the expedition in order to get a story. He is one of the more skeptical members of the group. I think he genuinely, you know, he believes that there are people going around in a cult thinking, you know, using the trappings of the sort of occult and everything to provoke fear, or invoke fear, but I don't think he genuinely believes that these are people that are actually vampires that are starting an undead army of fat-sucking vampires or something like that. You know, so he's all up there with the danger. Okay, there are people going around thinking it's true, or at least pretending it's true, but it's not actually true. It's just weird tropical diseases and nutters with knives. That's his, you know, view of it. And until something more convincing than someone forgetting they've got a tattoo comes along, he's going to remain unconvinced.
How reasonable.
Cool. So you had finished your chat with Naira and were heading back towards town. You do have to report in to Augustus Larkin at some point, just to let him know whether tomorrow will be an acceptable time for you to set off on the more on foot section of the expedition up the mountains. So yeah, you are heading back towards town. I don't know if there are any conversations that you want to have on the way back.
Well, I think Edwin would be again looking around to see whether we are being followed on our way back. But I think other than that, I'd probably sort of ask in couched terms of whether we had any idea of if maybe we had any sort of plan. Is it just are we? What do we do? Are we just going along with it, or how do we?
Would you like to make a spot hidden roll, Steve, for
Sure.
your observance?
That's a 16, which is under my spot hidden of 50. So yes, that's a
Nice.
That's a hard success.
Okay, so as you are coming back to the shore to head back towards town, you do spot those same two people. I'm assuming that you don't do anything about it at the time. Are you just carrying on your way and continuing to watch and look?
Yes, I'd sort of try to indicate subtly to the others that again we're being watched and followed, but I wouldn't make a huge thing of it.
Okay, so as you continue on your way, they do not follow you.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll say that then you have posed your question to the group.
Well, it seemed like Mrs. Farwell was rather adamant on us going and stopping this whole quest, going there to protect the temple or what have you. But it seemed like we were all broadly in agreement that we were continuing on the expedition. Whether or not we're going to get involved once we get there, in convincing Mr. Larkin to not take things from the temple or battle vampires or whatever it might be. But I think we're probably, unless anybody would like to stay in town for a little longer, I'm inclined to tell Mr. Larkin that perhaps we've gone for a little walk to test the waters and acclimatise here, but otherwise fit and healthy to go.
I agree.
I agree.
Are we going to tell Mr. Larkin about... No, I don't think. We can't. We're not going to... Does he even know about... He wouldn't listen to us. No, it's pointless. Forget I said anything.
I am a little worried about Nera. If those folks have not followed us, then I suppose they know where she is now.
Jackson says, "Yes, I too am concerned, but well, I did raise it with her, and she's with other people. I'm not sure how much more we could do. At least she is not alone."
I mean, what's the alternative? She can't come with us, really, can she? So, not really going to necessarily stay posted guarding her. So, we'll just have to take her at her word that she's safe.
I'm not sure she would come with us, even if we asked Mr. Hobbs. She thinks of people as either wanderers or not, and she's not.
I am planning to write a letter home to... Well, I need to update my student housekeeper, let him know that we reached Puna safe, but I'm thinking of recording what has happened and sending it to a trusted individual. Should the worst happen, then we can be sure that someone will investigate.
We might want to have a think about how you want to send that message. It sounds like, I mean, regardless, setting aside the reality of any of this, like there are obviously people in this town who are becoming involved in this cult for whatever purposes. I don't know that we have any particular idea of just how pervasive that's become, but I don't know whether you can trust to any letters you write not being read or diverted.
Corporal,
Not to say it's not worthwhile, but
with respect, I am a linguist. I have friends that I can write letters to that will not be understood by others.
very well.
Sometimes things get very boring at university, and making new languages is, or was, apparently a good way to pass the time.
How can you make a new language?
I am not quite sure how to explain that. But I would be happy to teach you if you would like, Mr. Fowler.
To be honest, I'd settle for just knowing a bit more of the Spanish they speak around here.
I'd be happy to tutor you if you like.
We should look into that.
Very good. Then yes, I will write a letter home, and I would suggest perhaps others may wish to do the same before we leave. I think this may be our last post office before our destination.
You raise an interesting point, Mr. Barton. Yes, perhaps I shall post a journal home for safekeeping.
I assume we otherwise make our way back and meet up with Larkin.
Yep, cool. You kind of happen to bump into him as you're walking through town. And he says, good afternoon. Everyone looks to be in fine health, I must say.
Yes, I am feeling much more optimistic about our options for tomorrow. We had a bit of a test walk up the hills, and I think acclimatizing is starting to settle. So we were just coming to find you and report the good news.
Well, then I shall attempt to secure us some pack animals to carry some of our things. Yes, perhaps 8 a.m. tomorrow, if we don't convene tonight for dinner. Wonderful. Well, I shall be on my way. Please remember to get any supplies that you need. I will get some surplus, but yes. See you tomorrow, if not this evening.
Jonny, how's he looking? Is he still seeming sort of in a good phase of health?
Yes, after a long night in his room last night, he seems pretty chipper.
I might just get like a few like really like not big deal kind of supplies, like a bit of extra kind of like food ration sort of things, just to have like on my person rather than in the main packs and stuff, and just like little bits and pieces like that. Nothing special, just to make sure there's kind of stuff distributed individually as well as in the kind of main sort of pack that'll be on animals and stuff.
Cool. anyone who is like purchasing stuff,
Yep.
can you make me appraise rolls?
That would be a fail.
Please?
Big fail. Yeah.
Okay.
We're getting the English tax. Is that what was about to happen?
It all seems very reasonably priced
That's
to
good.
you.
That's brilliant.
Are you going shopping with Mrs. Farwell?
No, because I'm going to buy her some sweet treats. She likes some of the stuff that
Aw.
we got in Lima, so I was going to get some more of those.
That's very sweet.
But yes, you like maybe a bit later on, you managed to do the maths a bit better and realize that you're pretty certain that you've been taken for a ride.
It was my intention to like a couple of things like having presume we've got things like water bottles and whatnot, but I was going to make sure that I had prior to travel a decent compass with me. I'm not sure if there are. Well, there was a map that we found in Professor
Yes.
Sanchez's, but I don't know what sort of scale that was. So.
It was kind of quite zoomed out.
Yeah. I'm sure a compass without a map is fine. I've looked at sort of some of the vague landmarks.
I mean, you will be able to find more.
Compass will be useful.
I have a compass as well.
That's good. 2 compasses. That's twice as good as 1 compass.
As long as they agree.
Party.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Nice.
I will share the map again for you. There you are. So, yeah, if you were somewhere along that way and you wanted to get back to Puno, you could kind of look for northwest, and you'd probably be heading vaguely in the correct direction if you got turned around. So,
and there's a massive lake. So,
yeah.
I already have quite a few tools in my toolkit, so I'm going to assume that, including completely unnecessary ones.
Like a
They're only
big
unnecessary if you don't find
black
them
painted
useful.
bar.
Well, I thought taking skills in boat would be completely unnecessary. Look at me now.
See?
Get faced with the biggest lake in the world and highest lake in the world, and you're gonna need those boat skills.
It's true. Everyone thought I'd climb up a mountain. It'd be foolish to take boat skills.
John and Jack, did Ted and Merritt have anything specific that they would like to do before sort of in the afternoon before dinner?
I think I will start writing that letter to try and get it posted before the post office closes.
Cool.
Yeah, Ted's just good hanging around. He's convinced he's got everything he needs for the journey.
you could take some, photos, some local
God,
colour.
I think it's my job or something, wouldn't you? Yeah, I think he's probably just taking photos of local landmarks and what have you. There's a montage going on of him taking photos. He's having a great time.
Whilst people stare disapprovingly at him.
He's totally oblivious of taking photos of these locals that just hate him.
Yeah, people looking back at them in the future would be like, oh, these must be from the Victorian time because they're all staring really sternly at the camera.
He's invented the first selfie as well, as he stands very still for a while like that next to some people that really don't want to be there.
Cool. Okay. Do you particularly want to dinner with Larkin? Because if you
Not to.
basically he's not going to, like, when it's sort of getting time for dinner, you've sort of seen him go past and go up to his room, and and he doesn't come down, so you could go and see if he wants to join you for dinner. He did say that he did mention dinner as a possibility, but it's kind of up to you whether you want that time to discuss anything, or whether you have anything you want to talk to Larkin about, or
I feel we've kind of got on the same page with everything, and opportunities to observe Larkin are important.
And we're trying not to let on that we know more than that we know as much as we do, I guess. So it'd be weird for us to all go to dinner and be like, oh, we're not inviting him. If anything, we got to walk through the jungle with this guy. So,
Agreed. It seems the polite and right thing to do.
I'll happily go up to his room and knock.
Yep, he answers and smiles and says, Mr. Farwell.
We just thought you might want to join us for dinner.
Oh, a lovely offer. Yes, give me 5 minutes and I'll be down.
Is the door wide open? Is the door firmly closed with him peering around?
No, it's not like that. He's not swung it out. He's kind of in that like half, but he's looking casual and comfortable.
Private and casual. Keep it casual. Yeah. No, that's appreciated. Okay, cool. Then I'll leave and go back down.
Yep. So after a few minutes, he appears and says, would you like to eat here, or should we try and find somewhere else? Either is fine with me. I'll, of course, pick up the bill.
You don't have to do that.
Well, it might be nice to sample some more of the local area while we're here, I suppose.
Yes, of course. I do not have somewhere in mind, I'm afraid, but we could certainly scope somewhere else, I'm sure. So yeah, you head around the town, and you find somewhere that is offering a couple of different sort of hearty stews, which it smells really good as you approach this. It's sort of an open, what's the word I'm trying to think of? I'm not sure, but the seating kind of inside and also coming outside the entire front of the storefront is kind of open fronted. How many times can I say front in one sentence? So yeah, it's a nice day, and getting on to the evening, so it's kind of cooling to what may well be a more comfortable temperature for a lot of the group. So you can kind of choose whether you want to be outside in the last of the evening sun, or under a little more cover. Larkin basically just orders a couple of large pots of each stew, and then bowls for everyone. Yeah, a bunch of drinks, and says, I must say I'm very happy with each of you being here, and very much looking forward to the next section of the adventure. Heading up the mountain on foot like true explorers. None of this being driven here in trucks. No, we shall forge forward under our own steam. Very exciting.
Yes, maybe this is really where it begins, I suppose, the true part of the expedition.
Yes.
Jonny, out of interest.
Yeah.
We've kind of gone out and about now. Have we had any funny looks from locals and things like that as we've wandered around town and come and sat down at this place and stuff?
Yeah, I think did Merritt mention it to the group? You did, didn't you? That you'd had, yeah. So yeah, now that it's been pointed out to you, you do notice the kind of long, sort of lingering looks as you pass as a group, and sort of, yeah, they look. You've seen people sort of look at you in an aggressive way before. It's not really that. It's somebody like almost uncomfortable, the way that they're looking at you, which, you know, maybe makes sense with what Naira was saying about sort of some of the more recent Karasiri.
Are any of them? Is anyone reacting to Larkin more dramatically than they were reacting to us earlier in the day?
No.
Okay.
No, they're looking at you as a group, not not seeing the group and then going at an additional person kind of thing. So yeah.
Were you able to acquire pack animals? Or find Larkin everything?
Yes, I will. I'll collect in the morning. We've 3 mules to carry our things. So yes, hopefully a reasonably light expedition for each of us. I'm told that they're good, hardy creatures, and I should certainly hope so for what I've paid for them. But that's an aside.
I think a few of us felt the currency exchange not feeling quite as favourable today as I thought we might find here. But, not the only one.
Yes, I certainly did not expect Lima to be the cheaper of the 2 locations, but here we are. The stew is good. The drinks are good, and looking at the prices as written, it looks like a very reasonable place. Whether an extra 0 gets added on at some point on the bill is yet to be seen. Does anybody have anything else particular they want to speak about?
I might just sort of casually try to mention or to ask what Larkin's plans are when we reach the pyramid. What sort of what our work involves, what the plans are, what sort of investigations we might carry out, that sort of thing. Just to try to elicit a few more details about our plan, our schedule over the next few days.
Yes, of course. Well, difficult to say with great detail, of course, having not yet seen the site. But I would hope that entry hopefully will not be too difficult, and then a case of exploration and observation, and perhaps tucking a little something away for ourselves, for those who have that sort of interest, or certainly cataloguing the things that are there, so that others with an academic mind can perhaps revisit and see what can be learnt from the place.
It's a shame. I might regret this. We'll see. It's a shame Professor Sanchez can't join us. I'm sure his knowledge would be incredibly valuable in.
Yes. I had been thinking of contacting him after receiving a letter, but then unfortunately I heard that he had been taken ill, or Jesse. I believe that you were friends with Professor Sanchez. Is he all right? I heard that he was laid up in the hospital. And Jackson says, "Well, yes, he is recovering." And he says, good, glad to hear it. But yes, a shame that he could not accompany us. You can make a psychology roll.
Can anyone give that a go?
Good God, why can't I never make a psychology roll?
I mean, I can't because my psychology is really low. That's my answer. I also
Mine's 40. I keep fluffing it.
I got a hard success.
Nice.
Ooh.
Any other? Were you two rolling? Did you?
I just failed.
Yeah, I failed.
Okay, nice. John, Merritt is definitely aware that he was not going to write to Professor Sanchez. And with a hard success, I'll say you maybe that's not the only thing that was sort of strange about his reaction, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Obviously your mind starts going on to things of like, does he know what's happened and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's definitely something other than the fact that he's lying about the fact that he was going to contact him. But maybe it's the reason that he wasn't going to contact him. You can't, yeah.
Like, it could just as easily be opposing views about what to do with historic cultural artifacts.
Yeah, maybe it's because, you know, he did just mention tucking things away to take them, so maybe it's because he's planning on plundering. So yeah, you're not sure.
I mean, I didn't have anything else in particular I wanted to get out of Larkin this evening.
Yeah, I would pivot back to sort of normal conversation to
All I
avoid
really-
scrutiny, I think.
Yeah, all I really care about is, you know, is he currently doing huge amounts of drugs and it being weird? And if he's not doing that, then I think he's pretty normal.
Just at the
Cool.
table, just shooting up.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know,
Which would be pretty weird.
with
to be fair.
this guy. You never, you know, we might get to that point.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, you finish your dinner. The sun is set, but there's still a little bit of light, sort of enough to get you back by the time that you leave. And yeah, you return back to the hotel. Larkin sort of immediately says, well, see you in the morning, 8 a.m. Onwards to adventure. And then heads off to his room. You don't know whether he was talking about the morning or going off to his room. But so then, yeah, it's up to you guys whether you're sort of immediately going to bed or...
I mean, I think there's nothing else that Shane wants to particularly do. Get an early night and be ready for the morning and packed and prepared and stuff, I think.
I'm
No one
wondering.
fancies a stroll around town.
I was going to say, wandering around outside will just get us lynched.
Well, you know, like, I'm personally interested to see if, while we're here, the Death Cult has formed a big pyre. You know, something like that. That's not what I say in character, but
huge wicker man in the
you know,
background.
it would be something to see, and it'd be good to be forewarned if it's going to happen tonight. Anyway, if no one else is going to go walk around town, Farwell's going to be like, I want to stretch my legs, and he's going to do a brief walk around the small town.
I will join you if you're going outside. I will join you.
I'm just, you know, trying to have idle chat and get an understanding of what is going on. I happen to be carrying a pistol and a small club, but I'm mostly here for the vibes, you know, just seeing what's going on.
Are you literally carrying the pistol in a small club? It's just
I've probably got my bag where I keep the gold bar, like it's slung on my shoulders, as I always keep it. And and I almost certainly do have my my truncheon, like if not out, like if not like swinging like some sick, like at least at hand,
okay. Cool. Yeah. There's no there's no bonfire
Cool.
in the center of town or any other thing that looks like some kind of ritual sacrifice area.
Well, in that case, I will make jokes with Price about how it doesn't seem like there's much of a death cult going on. If it's a death cult, it's a pretty quiet death cult.
Fine. Yes, Edwin will probably laugh nervously and carry on looking around, trying not to look obvious, but probably looking a bit obvious.
Good. Well, now that that's been done, we can go home.
By the time that you return to the hotel, it's actually getting kind of nippy. Do you think that you would have considered how cold it will be overnight when you are traveling?
That's a great question.
I'm happy for you to make a roll or for you to just tell me if you think that your character would have.
Given that one of Edwin's friends, in fact, Edwin's key contact, what's it called? Significant people. Yes. Yeah. So Edwin's sort of good friend is an explorer himself. So I'm sure Edwin would have compared notes.
Yeah, and I just scraped by an idea roll, so maybe I'll be like, "Oh, this is getting a bit cold, isn't it?"
Okay, I'm happy that that Edwin would have either mentioned to people earlier or purchased sort of heavy blankets for overnight when you're on the road. It's up to you whether you want to surprise everyone in the morning with a heavy blanket, or whether you want to say that you told them and everybody's picked their own up.
I'll have told people beforehand. Much as I would like to turn up with personalised, expedition blankets,
like it's got a stag party style blanket.
Okay, cool. Heading to bed. Great.
Yep.
So yeah, you get up in the morning. You can get breakfast at the hotel before setting off. And Larkin sort of appears about 1:45, and says, good morning. I'm just going to pick up the animals. I'll be back shortly, and then off we go. And he disappears off.
Suddenly having doubts as to whether I really should have checked beforehand whether he's actually competent as an explorer. I guess we'll see.
Anyone wait to find out now?
Is he not? Should we help him if he's bringing 3 meals back on his own? That seems like quite the handful.
Yes, I would be happy to assist if. Also,
unless
if
you just legged it already.
Well, he's headed out. He hasn't run, but he has walked out. But you could catch him up if you want to.
Yeah, yes, I'd be happy to help. Seems reasonable to help. And if you can introduce yourself early to the animals, and maybe,
they might eat you last.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you catch him up, and he says, "Oh, very kind of you." And then, yeah, you pretty quickly arrive at this place that you'd passed. Actually, when you get there, you realise that you'd passed and he hands over what you find out to be some additional money. He'd basically given a deposit the night before, and you can hear this conversation kind of going on between broken Spanish and broken English, where essentially he's arguing that he thought that with the amount that he'd paid last night, he'd paid the full amount, and he's actually paying double now what he already thought was quite a lot of money. But as the sort of guy points out, if he wants to leave soon, then he needs these mules. So he pays up, and you've not really seen Larkin look sort of annoyed, but he does look a little annoyed at this point. He's always kind of maintained that jovial, friendly atmosphere, but he kind of slightly yanks the 3 ropes and then hands one off to each of you if you're helping. And you head back and load everything up. And presumably, unless there's anything else, you get on your way.
I mean, I presume posting things has happened.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So you know that this is going to take about 3 days, 70 miles, and you are sort of hiking up into the hills, 70-ish miles, to where you think that it is. So it may be that actually you get there and there's nothing there and you have to look around, and it may be a little longer. And as you are traveling on the first day, kind of climbing higher, everybody make me spot hidden rolls, actually.
Oh, this time I fail.
Fail.
Success.
I got under half.
Nice.
I failed.
Okay. So at one point, Merritt sees a bird, and you recognize it from the sort of the local books that you've been reading as an Andean condor. And it's up to you how excitedly you point it out to everybody, but you could quite excitedly point it out to everybody. And Justin, Mr. Farwell, sort of up like a cliff edge and in some sort of foliage, you spot what you're pretty sure is a jaguar. It's sort of it's not anywhere near you, and you're going sort of past where it is. It's up from you, but yeah, sort of interestedly spot that. And at some point when you sit to have a rest, lunchtime, kind of sitting and having a sandwich, Steve, can you make me a listen roll?
I got 35. My listen, I don't think is... Oh, no, that's a success. Listen is 40, so I succeed.
Okay, nice. So, you're all sitting kind of at the side of this pathy trail, and there's some sort of scrub behind you, and you, Edwin, kind of hears this rustling and slithering and maybe a little bit of a hiss, and so you just sort of turn to look, and there is a 9-meter long anaconda.
Good heavens.
It's a little bit back from you.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, you probably stand up and maybe finish your sandwich later. But yes, you nobody's harmed, and you continue on. And yeah, those who were sort of suffering with the altitude sickness, you're not properly suffering altitude sickness, but you're kind of aware that you're in thinner air up here. But everybody is aware that they're in thinner air, but for those of you who were affected, it's kind of a little more noticeable. You're sort of tiring as you're walking a bit more than you would maybe expect. Just before the sun sets, you come to a reasonable spot to stop, and Larkin says, well, shall we call it for the day? This area will give us a little shelter, perhaps from wind at least, and maybe a little from rain, depending on the direction. Seems as good a spot as any.
Yes, do you feel we're making good progress on track per your expectations for day one so far?
Yes, I think so. And he pulls a map out, actually, and those of you who catch a glimpse, I'll just share this again.
I'd definitely be interested to.
So you're sort of you're sort of nestled into this, where these two sort of ridges are. You're sort of climbing between them at the moment, so you're kind of nestled in that section in between those two bits. So yeah, you would say it's probably about a third of the journey.
I mean, that seems like good progress.
Yes, excellent. Feels really like we are forging forward, and especially since Mr. Price was so vigilant and none of us were taken by that serpent earlier.
Yes, I was about to ask, do we need to do anything in particular to dissuade the local wildlife from perhaps paying us an unwanted visit? Or, and then I'll look at the mules, and are they going to be safe?
I would imagine that they would kick up quite the fuss if anything were going on.
True.
Is this the kind of place where we can have a fire going in the night, that kind of thing, or is it too?
Yeah,
wet?
you could have a fire going. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think yes. Edwin will certainly be kind of interested to know whether Corporal Shane has any experience in sort of outdoors survival-like activities.
It's more from basic training than a lot of real-life experience, I'm afraid. But yes, we can go through some of the standard sort of procedures, I suppose, if that's slightly different environment. But I suppose some of the same principles remain the same. I mean, we could set up a watch if you're particularly keen to keep a human pair of eyes on things, but obviously it'll delay us a little in getting going in the morning. If there is
Look around to the others.
Wildlife, maybe not the worst idea.
I was going to suggest there do seem to be enough of us to keep a good watch, even if there were two of us on at a time.
Well, I would be happy to help out if I can. Yes.
Is everybody here armed?
I can shout.
Yes.
I did bring my revolver with me.
I suggest if we're pairing up, ensure there's some form of revolver, pistol, whatever it might be that we have to manage in each group.
I think Mrs. Farrell has a rather heavy umbrella.
and a rather mean right hook. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Okay. Yeah. So is everybody going to be involved in a watch?
Well,
Sure.
I'll put my name forward,
Hire
yeah.
everybody out if we don't need to.
Certainly,
But
There's 8 total, including Larkin and Jackson, obviously, Mrs. Farwell.
oh yes.
I imagine that Larkin would actually say, well, I defer to you, Corporal Shane, and your knowledge of these things and what would be best.
I'll suggest something sensible. I don't know, maybe like a 3-part watch or something, so it's letting people super time in. Something like that sounds vaguely sensible to me, who is not actually someone who's gone through any kind of basic training. So sure. But yeah, like I said, I think I would suggest that like not everyone necessarily needs to, like, and actually getting rest is still incredibly valuable for the expedition and stuff. And so maybe only those who kind of know what they're doing with a firearm is probably sensible, because that's going to be loud and a good defense in case there is anything that does kind of crop up. So if
Well,
that sounds like
perhaps I
it's
should
price.
perhaps I should sit out then, says Larkin.
Yes. I'm assuming that Jackson is armed.
I don't know if you've had that conversation.
I'm not sure we've asked.
Just because he's American.
No, but yeah. Well, that, but also like, yeah, he's doing this kind of undercover thing, and like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's into something, so that he's a shady character in some ways himself, right?
Yeah, but would you want to admit
Wow.
to being armed? Is the other question.
That's true. Yeah, he might. If he doesn't step forward, I wouldn't necessarily assume. But yeah, Shane will ask. I don't know. Has Farwell like demonstrated that he is carrying, or is that?
I think you've always seen that he has this really rather menacing, like, small club, and you've seen him reach into his bag for what you could only assume must be a gun, when situations have got a little tense. So,
okay. I'll
I think
maybe
everyone
I'll
can
maybe
assume
say
that.
it sounds like Price and Shane are on, and ask for a third volunteer.
Yeah, no, Farwell's already said he's happy to do it.
Okay, cool. Well, then maybe the 3 of us.
Barton has also volunteered.
So then you can do a couple of hours each if you were doing single person watches.
Are
Okay.
we
Sounds
doing
great.
single person watches?
Yes.
Okay.
How about yes, but every awake person stays very close to a sleeping person to shove them awake.
Sure. Look,
Should.
why not? There's no way this can go wrong.
Mm.
Okay. Who is taking which watch?
Suddenly you sound really suspicious.
I'm in middle watch. That's me.
I'll go first because Edwin's nervous.
Hang on. Who's Jackson will take a watch.
Right.
So
I'm
is there
third.
actually 5?
Ted will take a watch if everyone else is. He doesn't want to be the
Wow.
Oh, okay.
In that case, we might as well pair up.
Yeah. Let's pair
Yeah.
up.
Or,
I'm just
as
like,
we'll be here for more than one night, we have one group on watch on the first night and
Yeah.
a different group
Yeah.
on the second night,
Oh
so
my
everyone
God.
gets at least one flight.
It's like I
Yeah.
cannot have a calendar for this. I just need to. I can't.
Quick, whip out a spreadsheet.
Shane will keep track. All right. So let's say we've got Price, then Farwell, then Shane for the first night, and then second night we can do Ted,
Whoever's left.
Jackson,
Whoever's
Merrick.
left alive. Like,
Yeah. Well, it depends on survivors.
exactly. You got to bear in mind, that when you're counting for this.
Mm.
Okay. Price, then Farwell, and Shane.
I mean, I think Shane would probably suggest going the middle watch from the sort of lack of sleep perspective is better for the others to get more sleep on either side, but I won't fight it if Farwell is keen for some reason on the middle watch. But
I just rolled randomly, and that's what my dice said. So
if Shane is offering an alternative, will you?
I do not care.
Yeah. Okay.
You might care soon.
Right. Yeah, all right. We'll do Price, Shane, Farwell then.
Sure.
Cool.
I'm gonna go to sleep then and see you guys in a few hours.
Cool. So, and you said that you were going to have the person who is on watch be very near somebody who isn't on watch, so that it can become a double very quickly if necessary. Is that right?
Sounds
What
reasonable.
I suggested, yeah.
Okay, cool. So in that case,
He's plotting now, isn't he?
Inga.
He's trying to figure out how to pick
Jonny
one
doesn't
of
have
us
a
off. We've
plotting
stumped
bone in
him.
his body.
That's what happened.
Inga. No. Inga, can you? I was figuring out who needs to make rolls. Inga, can you make me a listen roll? And can the others make me a listen roll, but you will need a hard success?
Fail. I'm actually the worst person to have on watch because I have really shit skills for all of these things. But,
Now you tell us. I fail my lesson.
As do I.
Failure.
I rolled a 4.
Ooh.
I assume that is a hard success for you.
It's an extreme success. Yes,
Cool.
it is in fact a
So-
hard extreme success.
Okay. So yeah, I'm going to say that Merritt was sleeping nearest where the pack animals are, and perhaps on the opposite side of the fire to Shane. And as a result, you are roused by some sound near you. So at first, it kind of it manifests a little in your dream. So there is, a sort of shambling thing coming towards you, which is having these kind of shuffling footsteps, and then you think you hear almost like the sound of eating, but like skin breaking, and then you wake up, and you take a second to adjust, and then you can hear the sound of consumption from away from the fire, and you suddenly twig that is where the pack animals are tied up.
Okay. I have no real reason to assume that it's not one of my friends getting a late night snack. So I will
Eating one of the mules.
slowly but quietly get up, catch Shane's eye if he notices me and he's still around and is awake and alive.
I would say that Shane does notice you. So, Inga, what you see is a figure that you assume to be Merritt, because you kind of took note of where everybody was sleeping before you went, in case you needed to wake a specific person up for a specific reason. You can't, because he's the other side of the fire, you just see kind of a silhouette. You can't see, but yeah, but you do notice that he's got up.
Yeah, I will quietly follow.
I'm going to try and, again, quietly sneak around the pack animals and see if I'm hearing something accurately.
Okay.
Can we see them with the fire? Are they too far away to see anything as well?
So I'm going to say that, so because Merritt has just woken up, and because you have been sort of like, the fire has been in front of you, it takes you both a minute for your eyes to adjust. Can you if you are heading over as well, Inga, can you both make me stealth rolls, please?
Yes. Oh dear.
Failure. Changing my dice. Keep rolling 70s, 80s, 90s things. Very good.
Failure.
Okay. In that case, you hear the sound of footsteps moving very quickly away.
Like
and-
pedal footsteps?
Yeah, you think so. And you think you know when it's that thing when it's dark, but you're pretty sure that you can see a shadow against the darkness. Even there's that kind of like you can't decide if it's your brain filling in because you've heard running, or whether you can actually see somebody running away. But you can see the pack animals, and all three of them are lying down, which you would expect for them to be sleeping. Are you sort of investigating the scene?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll try to examine them and see if they do appear to actually be alive and healthy or whatever. If it's clear that the pack animals is the area that something happened here, just check if it looks like there's been any kind of sabotage or damage or whatever else.
Or any items missing.
Yeah, like it could be like because presumably our food and things like that are kind of packed on there as well. So like it could just be.
Are you using a light source at all?
I mean, I think if it seems like something's gone back, like might grab something from the fire. Actually, I think I've got a torch as well with me. Yeah, I do have an electric torch. So yeah,
which you would have on your person while you were on watch, wouldn't you? So
yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you have a bit of investigate around the creatures. You can't see anything missing, and as you're kind of all three are alive. You do notice as you're looking around that one of them on its kind of hind quarters has a wound.
Yeah, try and do what I can about that wound. I mean, try and apply whatever medical knowledge into first aid for animals.
Yeah, you can roll for that in a second, but yeah, as you're looking, it's like a circular wound. It looks very similar to Professor Sanchez's and Rizzo's wounds.
Great.
But yeah, do you want to make a hard medicine roll?
I'd love to try. 64. There's no way that's a hard success. Nope, it's not even a success.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you patch it up so that it's not an open wound. That there's not that much difference in that between humans and animals. And yeah, you're pretty content that you've done the best that you can do with what you've got and your knowledge of animal anatomy. And that's where you are.
I'm not sure there's much else we can do about this for tonight, but we'll have to reassess in the morning. But I suppose we'll warn Mr. Farwell, who's up next on the watch.
Maybe we do need two people on watch.
Perhaps. I'm a little concerned. Maybe we're not far enough out of town, but I suppose I didn't anticipate too much what seemed like human activity. I thought, keeping an eye out for animals and scaring them off with a gunshot or something would be sufficient. But there's still some sort of activity or civilization out here. We might be inclined to be a little more cautious, I suppose. I can stay up with Mr. Farwell for today.
That will not have given you very much sleep. I'll stay up with Mr. Farwell.
I'm popular today.
Very well. You yes, all right. But you get tomorrow night off. Orders.
Not if we need double watches. But we can talk about this in the morning, Corporal.
All right. I guess we'll wait out the rest of whatever's left of my watch and then wake up Farwell at the right time and explain the situation.
Cool. Other than that, the night goes completely normally.
Fantastic.
And yeah, morning. Everybody wakes. Are you passing the story on to everyone? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll explain that there seemed to be some sort of. I think I'll try and keep the facts like reasonably neutral. Like, Merritt awoke, thought we saw something that looked like a sort of human shape running away, but can't be too sure. Might be prudent to be more cautious if there is actually more kind of human activity out here in the wild than we kind of expected, and that one of the mules was wounded. Again, I guess we'll check over again this morning and just sort of assess like whether they seem like they're actually going to be capable of carrying our stuff for us, or if we're better off not taking this one with us.
You get the feeling that you interrupted whatever was going on quite early. So sort of, when you're up and having like the mules are up and sort of wandering around and nibbling at bits of sort of brush that are around and things like that. And the one with the dressing doesn't seem to be particularly struggling any more than the others. So yeah, you think you'll be okay. And Larkin says, well, thank goodness for, again, more of the group's vigilance. Yes, thank you both.
Thank you, Mr. Barton.
So do we think it was just some sort of large monkey, or do you think there's a person snooping around?
I think it strikes me as a person. Yeah, I think we'd have heard some different noises, and I'm not quite sure we'd have seen something like. I'm not quite sure what these sorts of wounds are like, really. But given we've seen these with something similar with human activity rather than monkeys, yes, I think we ought to be erring on the side of caution and assuming there's some sort of human activity here that is unwelcome.
We did when the thing had run off. I'm not asking this mess there now, but when the thing had run off, Larkin was still in camp. This wasn't Larkin. Larkin was
as far as you're aware. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. What are the sleeping arrangements? Are we just on the ground? Are there separate tents? How visible are people?
You're pretty much under the stars. I'm happy that you would have seen that. You would have probably checked the well-being of everyone as this was going on, wouldn't you? So yeah, everyone was as you would expect.
Because it could be Hobbs for all we know,
No, it's definitely the monkey.
Throwing accusations at innocent monkeys to throw off the scent. Can't get past Farwell.
Maybe again not with Larkin around, but I surely you have to raise the fact that maybe Mendoza has been following us. Maybe this is Mendoza. Maybe I'm going crazy, but could Mendoza be following us?
Are we having this conversation with Larkin
No.
not here?
No, without a Larkin. Whenever we get amongst ourselves, whenever we get a chance to.
Just popping over there. Just be a moment.
All of us in a huddle, then we look at Larkin.
I mean, over the course of the
Larkin's
day,
gone to the loo. There'll be a point where he wanders off.
like we're on a trail with like 8 people.
Yeah.
It's gonna spread.
Well, Edwin is certainly. I mean, Edwin was concerned about Mendoza following us from the word go. So any talk of, could it be Mendoza? Edwin will be agreeing to that
I
notion.
think we can't rule it out, but I mean, last we heard he was in trouble with the police in Lima. If we heard he was in trouble here in Puno, I think that would have been a bit more.
The last we heard from Larkin. Larkin told us.
Yes, but it does stack up with what we understand. That he was reported as the likely assailant back at the university. The story adds up. I'm not, again, you're quite right. We've heard this is hearsay, but it does make sense. But as I say, there's no guarantee that he's locked away and kept safe away from us. He could still be very much a concern.
Was Ted chipping in with something?
Well, yeah, he's got a motive for, messing with us. I guess he's a disgruntled ex-employee of Larkin's at this point. He either doesn't want the expedition to succeed now, so he's trying to sabotage us, or he's just trying to make it more difficult for us for when we get there.
I mean, equally, I suppose we are in an area where the Caraceri are more numerous, so it's always a possibility it's another one. But yes, we need to remain vigilant, certainly.
If we think Mendoza was the one who was really pushing for this expedition, it seems more likely he'd be following us to, have us pave the way or to mark out the route or whatever than to sabotage us. It seemed like that was a driver more than the sort of disgruntled employee. But I think anything is guesswork at this point, really, isn't it?
Maybe they want us more tired and weaker when we're there, less prepared, when we get to the temple and they tie us down to these altars and sacrifice us.
Yeah, I really want to be more prepared when that happens.
Well, best watch out for keep an eye on the mules then.
I can't. I mean,
is Ted a believer now, or is this just done in deep sarcasm?
Like I said, he doesn't believe in the vampires. He's willing to accept there's a group of people going around calling themselves a death cult, and potentially one of them even attacked some of the mules at night.
Okay, so the altar thing is in jest, tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, otherwise, maybe just suggest that we try, make sure we're trying to keep an eye out as we proceed during daylight as well. See if there's any other kind of sign of human activity or being followed. General kind of.
Oh yes, are there any
where we didn't expect?
Yeah, are there any tracks around the camp? Is there anything that can be?
Ooh, yeah. Give me a spot hidden.
Well. Edwin is clearly tired because that was a 95.
Would the result have been any different if you'd used the track skill?
Oh yes, I've got 95 in track. Yeah.
Is anybody else investigating? Because I'm happy for.
I think that's definitely worth doing. Although I feel like we might have left camp by this point, and I would have failed to do it if I had.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So yeah, you are continuing along the path. Around midday, the air rings with the sound of a gunshot ahead of you. And you are just about to sort of reach the brow of a hill. And as you get to the top of the hill, you can see about half a mile ahead of you. There are 2 human figures. One standing and one lying on the ground. Can everyone make me... you know what roll it's going to be? I'm pretty sure it's going to be spot hidden again. Yes, it is.
$99.
I got 7 under 25.
Nice.
No, I failed.
I
A
failed.
fail for me.
Okay, Mr. Farwell sees that the man who is standing is holding a rifle, and standing in... Because at first you might think that he had shot this other person who's on the ground, but he is standing in a manner that is sort of defensive of this other figure that is on the ground and facing away from where you are. So sort of along where the path continues ahead of you.
Okay. And I have no indication that they've seen us. They're not like...
No.
Right.
Nope.
I will say what I can see and apologize. I don't have any glasses to see further.
It sounds like they might need medical attention. I'll head
should
down. I'm
make it-
gonna try and
yeah.
hurry off.
All speed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to turn to Mrs. Farwell and say this is all getting terribly exciting.
So Shane is sort of rushing in. Is anybody else, like, what's everybody else doing?
I'm making my way after Shane as much as I can while not running at full speed because I'm carrying a bag with a big bar of gold in it.
Yep.
Would I be able to have a look around to see what he may be standing defensively from, or would that have already been covered from the spot hidden roll?
So this is kind of like a little dip valley that's sort of a mile long. So you can't see anything ahead of you currently, but it does go sort of back up and over a hill like half a mile after them. So it's possible that whatever it is has just gone that way. Because it's been a few minutes that it took you to get over the brow of this hill, so it's quite possible that equally something has gone the other way.
That makes sense. In that case, I will follow close behind Shane in case he needs a translator.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go with sort of saying doctor, but translator is awesome.
I'll shout the same thing in Spanish because that seems most likely.
Okay. Tedwin.
Edwin.
That's our ship name.
Blimey. I think Edwin is fine hanging back for now. Just keeping an eye on things.
Larkin is also quite happy to stay with the mules until the situation is resolved.
Yeah, I think Ted's probably doing the same. I don't think we need everyone crowding around the, firing range.
Jackson, you can see, is kind of torn between whether to go or whether to stay, but he ends up deciding that he's going with the front group. So the man with the gun swings around and points it at you as you come towards him, and because obviously he turns at the point that you kind of start shouting because he hadn't realized that you were there. And he actually fires a warning shot basically past you as a group. John, make me a Spanish roll, please. I wouldn't necessarily ask you to, but it's a high pressure situation. So
Pass. 29 under 52.
nice. So he is saying, "Stop where you are," and a few other things that are sort of really, really fast and sort of mumbled, and that's more the reason that you can't hear them rather than not understanding the language. And you see him kind of looking down at the body on the ground as well, and then like looking back up, making sure that you haven't moved. If you want to try and talk to him, can you either make me a charm, fast talk, or persuade roll? And then we'll also discuss what it is that you're going to say. But
That will be a persuade. I will order Shane and Barwell to stand still first. Hard success. 21 under 55.
okay, nice. So he says, "You're just more of them." This is all in Spanish, obviously, so only Merritt and Jackson are picking this up.
Mhm.
Stay back. And I will say, actually, now that you're a little closer, anybody who's looking at the person on the ground, his shirt is torn and covered in blood, and you can see that there is obviously a wound there. You can't see whether it's a similar wound to the others from where you are, partly because it's so sort of bloodied. But yeah, you can see that he's very definitely injured.
I'm going to jump to a conclusion, and I'm going to say we are not one of them. Believe me, we are here to help. We are human. Our doctor here has treated what these creatures have done before. Please let them look at your friend, or your friend may be even worse off than he is now.
He, in a sort of like a shaking, partly tearful voice as he responds, says, "It's my son." And then he lowers his weapon.
Shane, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll rush forward and see what I can do.
Cool. Make me a medicine roll. No, actually, I'm going to say a first aid roll. Unless medicine is better, but I don't think it is for you.
First aid is better, but I rolled a fucking 92. I can't roll under like 80 tonight, which is not a success.
There is the concept of pushing, but pushing can have really serious consequences if you're not successful the second time round. Obviously, GM.
Remind me, that's the bad consequences is GM fiat, right? In terms of what those
basically.
Would be.
Yeah, but is it worse than a 90 whatever you rolled?
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try pushing that. Okay, right. A success.
Okay,
not by much,
nice.
but a success.
That's fine. Yeah. Okay. So, are you continuing to talk to the dad while this is happening, John? Is there anything that you want to sort of ask him or say to him or anything?
I will ask what happened and what it looked like.
He says those two of them. They attacked us. I don't think that they knew that I had this rifle. You can see that there's like a bag on the floor which has a bunch of like food and stuff in, which presumably also had the rifle in. And he says they ran off as soon as I pulled this out. Cowards. Is he going to be okay?
Corporal Shane, how is he looking?
He's so this is on his chest, right? So it's not like an infestation or whatever you might have thought that was happening with Professor Sanchez. So it's kind of just a standard wound, and you've basically, you know, as you would if it was an animal bite or whatever, you've cleaned it, you've dressed it, and he's, you know, he is conscious. He's been conscious throughout. He's just obviously in a lot of pain. But you're pretty confident that apart from some scarring, there's not going to be any lasting damage.
I've done what I can. Can you explain to me? And I'll pull out some painkillers that I have. Probably not the full-on opiates, but I've got some like, you know, aspirin level, like, you know, lower kind of level stuff, and just explain like, you know, this will help a little as he starts to heal. Tell him how to use it and this kind of stuff, and how to look after the wound and to, you know, keep it clean and this sort of thing, to be translated.
Yep, I translate all that along.
Cool. He says, "Thank you, and sorry for the," kind of lifts the gun a little.
It's understandable.
What are they doing here?
What are you doing here?
Oh, we are. We have a farm. So we have been down to the city to sell some things, and we are traveling back.
They're local farmers on the way back from the city.
These, I'm assuming he's talking about these people who attacked as these death cult people. Are they locals? Is there sort of a high risk area around here, or was this unusual?
Did you recognize the people who attacked you?
He says, one of them, she's from the city, but she's changed.
Changed how?
From what you said, I thought you would know how.
I do. I suppose I was wanting to hear it.
The other, I don't know.
Were they younger? A younger man, perhaps?
No.
Okay. I will pass that along to Shane. They were. He recognized one of them, not a local, someone from the city, but he said she'd changed recently. He didn't recognize the other one.
Have we established that the city is Puno, or is there potentially a different city that we're talking about?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's Puno. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, it seems like there's a bit more human activity out in these parts than we maybe assumed that there might be. Not quite as in the thick of the jungle as I thought. I mean, they can't have been following us. They were ahead. They must have been out here anyway. Really ought to be more on guard for tonight. How far is their farm? Will they be able to get back okay? Do they need might be able to spare one of the mules to carry this poor boy so he doesn't have to walk with his wound?
How far away are you?
Not too far. You are welcome to come. I can give some food. I should thank you.
He's offered us to go with him. Maybe escort them back and have a small rest.
Tell him that we've got a few more members of our party who are a bit further behind, and I'll just run back far enough to let them know that it's safe to come down and what's happened.
We have some more. we have some more people with us. We don't want to overburden you, but that would be very kind of you.
No burden. You may have saved my son. And he sort of shoulders the rifle and goes to shake your hand and says, Julio.
Merritt Barton.
His son is up now, and he says he's sort of holding his shoulder, and also goes to shake your hand and says, Domingo.
Pleased to meet you, Domingo. And you, Julio.
Yeah, so Larkin is fine with going back to their helping them back to the farm. And yeah, he says it's not far, and then you've sort of been going for an hour and think,
Is it an hour in the general direction we would have been going anyway, or are we completely?
So you go over sort of over the brow of the hill, but then you do take a turning off the main road. So yeah, by the time that you've sort of got to the farm, it's probably about 3 p.m.
How does Larkin look about this sort of slight delay? Does he look at?
You can make a psychology roll if you like.
I could fail a psychology roll as well.
Yeah, he's fine. So you get to the farm. It's like a small little farmstead. There's a few animals, and you can see that sort of going up the hillside behind are some fields, a couple of crops in some of them. Some fields you wonder if they're waiting to be sown for different crops. But yeah, he welcomes you in, and there is some food in a pot which he warms and provides to you all, and kind of is conversing with the group, but via Merritt and Jackson. So yeah, if anybody has anything else that they want to ask specifically, then you can. He also offers for you to stay the night if it's going to be late, later by the time that you're leaving, so you could stay indoors. And he also says it may put some distance between them and you, which may not be a bad thing.
I will broach that to the group, but I will look to see what Larkin thinks of that.
Yeah, he says I'm indifferent.
I can't imagine we're going to get much further this evening anyway, so it'd be nice to have a roof over our heads, won't it?
Yes.
Nice sleep. Merritt, can you ask them? I wonder if he obviously seemed to know what he knows that these things are these Siri, and that it's not obviously not just some talk around Puno. It's made its way out here as well. Like, are there different kind of local legends or stories, or recent doings and trouble or anything like that is worth knowing about?
Yes. I don't know the best way that John would phrase that, but that is basically a very good question that Barton will ask. Of, like, how, do these kind of attacks happen often? Are the creatures common? Have they been causing much trouble? Are there many anything that we should know about them as travelers? That kind of. I don't just want to go, oh, do you believe anything different to the city? Because that's a weird way to frame it. But
so he says, when I was a boy, they were folk tales that sometimes an animal would go missing. Very occasionally a person would go missing, but in the mountains, and some people would blame it on them, and others would think that they have got lost in the mountains or fallen or whatever else. But more recently, the instances of people or animals going missing have been increasing. And it seems that more people that, not that I know well, but that I'm aware of, have been joining them, whatever that entails. I'm unsure how much helpful information I can give you about them. But they didn't like being shot at.
That's good to hear.
How's Larkin responding to all of this? And has the word, are we just talking about them as creatures, or has the word Karasiri been?
I did use the word Karasiri in asking Merritt to translate.
Anyone who wants to see how he's reacting can make a psychology roll. Ted's is spent. Sorry, Jack. You've already rolled.
I just fail it anyway.
This time I got a success. I rolled 12 under psychology, wasn't it?
Yeah.
12 under 40, so that's
cool.
A hard success.
I'm still oblivious.
I'm going to say that I was probably focusing too much on Julio.
Cool. Yeah, successes. He looks kind of uncomfortable. Was it a standard success, Steve, or a hard success? Sorry, or
it was a hard success.
Okay. So yeah, it could be. Larkin's like, he's a well-dressed guy, and apart from sleeping outside last night, you've not really seen him in like sort of like less affluent situations, and he just looks a little out of place in this sort of farmer's kitchen that you're all crammed in. But actually you don't think it is that. You think there's something about this conversation that's making him uncomfortable, but you're not 100%, you couldn't say for definite what it is. And you certainly don't, he doesn't sort of jolt at the word or anything like that. But yeah, he's looking a little like maybe he'd rather this conversation wasn't happening. And maybe if it was a question that somebody had asked him, he'd swerve like he has done with a couple of other things that, could it just be that he doesn't want the expedition to not go ahead because of folklore? Possibly. But,
Yeah, because I'm also thinking we've not talked about these creatures or Karasiri, I don't believe, with Larkin at all so far. So it might be a bit weird for some of us to suddenly be sort of chatting away.
We've talked about, I think that first night we talked about some general sort of folk stuff, and there was a bit of debate because Mendoza reacted funny about some of the stuff that obviously wasn't about Karasiri specifically at that point, but there was definitely something about the kind of local folklores and mythology and stuff. So we have spoke about folklore with him, but definitely not the actual Karasiri and this is a thing we found out more stuff about for sure. That's new. hopefully not wildly out of place, but yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a bit of a hint of something else that we've heard about, obviously.
Perhaps Larkin is just suddenly wigged out by realizing he's traveling with a group of, at least mostly, superstitious people who'll cling on to any old story.
Are we the weirdos?
We're undoubtedly weirdos.
Hmm.
But there are other weirdos in this group.
I mean, I don't know what the 1920s were like, but we did drop everything in order to go to Peru to find a lost pyramid just because we saw an ad in the newspaper. So
That's
I'm pretty sure the
we're kind of
1920s are known for being really boring.
That's why they call it the boring 20s. Yeah.
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 And on that note,
Jolly good.
You watch again tonight.
hey, what?
What was
Are you
that?
keeping watch?
You were in a more kind of stable, yeah, sensible to still keep an eye out.
Where are the mules? Has he got like a stable, did you say? Or
Yes.
Good question.
I
Lovely.
mean,
Yeah.
stables are hardly Fort Knox, so if something was going to get in it, still get them. But
But also,
It's more
you know,
Fort
if-
Ox than Fort Knox. We could say.
there are some you could have assessed on the way in that with the size of the stabling and how many animals there were outside, not everything will fit in the stables. So if you stabled your animals, they would not be the easiest thing to pick off if that's what's going on, rather than
We'll
it
use
being
our-
like sabotaging you specifically.
host animals are sort of sacrificial, sort of meat
Yeah.
shields, I guess.
It's a bit rude. We can't really.
One of ours is injured, you know, and we did save
Well,
his
no-
son's life.
yeah, I guess.
Yeah, he's happy
good
for you
punch
to put your mules indoors. Is there anything else that you want to do, particularly before sleep?
Does Julio speak Quechua?
No.
Then no, there's nothing else.
Okay. Cool. In that case, you sort of bed down. There is like a separate sleeping area for Julio and Domingo, but then there is just like the rest of the house. So you kind of bed down in that like kitchen living area. And I think that's a good point to leave it for the week. Cool.
Okay.
Thanks. You've had enough action. So cool. Yeah. Thanks everybody. Any questions or comments, put them in the chat and we can chat about them in a minute. Reminder, this is on Mondays. Wednesdays are Simbaroom. Every other Thursday is the Yellow King. So that's a week on Thursday, the 24th is the next episode. Links to everything below the stream. That's it, I think. Cool. Yeah, thanks. Good to be expeditioning.
As long as you're not a mule.
It survived, you know.
Yeah, true.
So far.
I think John's just read the same comment as me.
Shall I power it up?
Yeah. 42. Are Sam and Justin the same person, and that is why they can't appear at the same time?
I'm my wife.
There's just
I mean-
trouble in the Farwell household at the minute, and they're just not on speaking terms.
Wow.
They are both called W. Farwell.
I
So,
know, right?
you know,
That's just like a
It is
vaudeville
feasible.
act where, yeah, same person, different sides.
It could be.
We found their weakness, being shot at.
Although, yeah.
Well, that's a good sign. That's definitely.
Maybe it's
you know.
actually loud noises.
We'll just have to test everything.
Or the smell of gunpowder.
Perhaps bullets
From November
are
5th,
the
you
silver
look.
bullet.
Or somebody dropping their bag. There's all kinds of things that happen there that aren't just them being shot at.
Maybe they
We
just
did
didn't
run
like
out with a lot
Domingo's
of
blood.
Gold.
Maybe, yeah.
This comment, I love it when comments turn up way before they're actually relevant. Inga posted this message when we were still in the city.
No, I think that was after the how much they cost. I was like, we better really get our money's worth out of these. We better get an expedition. We better get a few hot meals. Like, oops.
You accused Ted.
Yeah, maybe Inga's character is the secret Karasiri, the Kara secret. She's not. Nice, thank you. Cool. So yeah, we will be back next Monday to see whether any mules have been eaten. Wednesday Simba Room. Not Yellow King this Thursday. So your next two Telling Tales viewings should be Simba Room on Wednesday and then us again next Monday. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to the players. And catch you next Monday. Bye-bye.